All right, good morning, everyone. So we're going to get started with our first panel. So in the past years, what we've had is the first panel kind of kicks off the whole conference. It's a state of the industry. It's kind of gives us our finger on the pulse of what's happening right now in this ever-changing industries. And so that'll be kind of the big picture, and then we have subsequent panels that'll get in some more details. But the first one here we have is, let's see here, an engaging panel examining how the recording, live, and music publishing industries evolved in 2025, highlighting major trends, challenges, innovations, and shaping the outlook for 2026. So I thought we would start with introducing quick introductions. We do have the bios, as I mentioned, online, so just your name, maybe your company, and the area of the industry that you're involved with. We'll start with that.
Is this on? Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Hey.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Lau. I'm the co-founder and chief operating officer of Collective Rights Management. We are in the publishing and music rights space acquisition.
All right, thank you.
Chris Panaggi. I am a CEO, entrepreneur in the music space, not only from the record company side, publishing side, and acquiring intellectual property.
Hi there, my name is Casey Carlson. I'm actually a Five Towns alumni. I graduated in 2024, I think. I don't even remember. And I am a singer and songwriter for the band Deadlands, and I do some management stuff, social media management, and all that good stuff.
You're an entrepreneur.
I am an entrepreneur. I'm an artistpreneur.
An artistpreneur, that's right. Okay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jim Faith. I'm the founder and producer of the Great South Bay Music Festival, and we have another. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And we have another. We also are a booking agency, and we book some places in the city, in the Iridium, and some other locations on Long Island.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So as you can see, we have here the live industry. We have the songwriting industries. Both Chris and Michael are involved with there, as well as the recording industry. So, Michael, we'll just do a little. What would you say is a quick snapshot of what 2025 has been for music publishing? If you were quick takeaway.
Quick takeaway of especially the publishing of the catalog acquisition space is really, more and more money, private equity, institutional financing is getting into realizing the value of owning music catalogs and the stability of it, because it's not really affected by if you guys ever watch the stock market or listen to the news about the stock market going up and down, it's not really affected by that. So as an example, when issues arose when we had COVID and whatnot, one of the things that people continue to do is listen to music.
Okay, so catalog acquisitions, buying, the ones that you hear in the headlines, the biggest ones. What was the last biggest one that they had? Like last year was what, Bruce Springsteen, or I don't know.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a while ago.
Right? But you hear about them, so buying catalogs still is a big.
Yeah, there's a lot since especially on the songwriting rights, the rights are sort of bifurcated, meaning there could be more than one songwriter. Nowadays, there's 5.
Yeah.
So different people, depending on when those rights become available, different people like Sony, Warner, Reservoir, Roundhill, Spirit, Downtown, or whatever can go in and buy little bits and pieces. So things are kind of sort of very transactional and moving around these days, and sometimes it's hard to keep track of. And even people internally don't know, where things are.
It's not just me. Chris, what do you think from the label perspective?
So I mean, with Amethyst Music, we're a dance-driven record company. However, over the last 3 decades, we've acquired so much catalog that, we have everything from jazz to classical, children's, and everything in between. A lot of covers. We're seeing more acquisitions on our side. We've acquired more than 24 record companies and catalogs over the last 20 years, I'll say. In the business, we're seeing a very big shift. Paid streaming subscribers are going up, so we're seeing that in our revenue. However, ad-supported streaming is not growing as much as you'd expect. So overall, it's been healthy globally. The IFPI reports are showing big growth.
Okay.
The RIAA U.S. report is showing growth, but it's changing, right? You know, music consumption is changing. So
Okay. I don't know if Casey, if you want to jump in on anything. Or?
On my end, I don't see much of that. Just because obviously I'm more on like the songwriting kind of side. But as far as I'm aware, I know Taylor Swift was doing something with her publishing, wasn't she? Unless I'm mistaken.
she actually bought back her masters.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
So she actually re-recorded first because the catalog got sold, and then in a last opportunity after she re-recorded, she acquired it.
Yeah.
Acquired it.
Okay.
But like just from like an artist like in 2025, is anything different from 2024? Is it more of the same or?
I mean, mostly
As it-
just, and I wouldn't even say just from like a 2024 to 2025 kind of deal. I feel like more people are just because I'm thinking about streaming revenue and labels and all of that, and just having to deal with that. I think more people are moving away from the labels because obviously they take a significant cut of your music. And you have the recouping and everything, and a lot of what labels have been doing has been very, I don't want to say very obsolete, but I feel like it's heading in that direction, especially with AI, which I know has already been a conversation going on lately, but
Yeah.
you know.
All right, we're gonna definitely dip into that in a little bit. Jim, how about you?
For live, I would say that we're in a state of flux. I don't think that we've ever hit a crossroads like this for many, many years. And it's probably because of the pandemic. But it's in every area,
All right.
from a cost of artist fees and interest in music, what demos are interested, what groups are not these days, and touring artist revenue streams. Everything's different. And I think we just have to pivot. I don't think it's so bad. I think it's just everybody has to really watch it and keep their finger on the pulse. And it's up to you guys and all of you guys
To attend shows and
attend shows and stay on top of everything and just really watch trends, read. You know, you guys did the first thing by being here. So that's showing up is the most important thing, and that's. You guys started off the right way.
all right. So I guess we'll continue with maybe some more group questions, and then I'll hone in on each of the industries. So speaking of AI, maybe I'll start with Michael at the end there. How has AI affected or not, your day-to-day operations, or in the music publishing industry, if you want to, or what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I think AI is sort of affecting everybody. I'm sure you guys are using it to some extent on a daily basis, whether it's ChatGPT or anything else. I use it also for a lot of coding. I'm a tech nerd also. I think, where we are in the music industry is, we're still trying to fight for proper attribution, meaning that if a song is properly licensed, if it is, who are the elements, who are the songwriters that get paid for it. And there's a lot of technology out there right now that can actually figure out the DNA and rates it and stuff like that. There's probably like 5 or different types of companies out there to do that, but you don't really hear much about them. But it's really just sort of how everybody gets paid properly if a large language model is trained on 50,000 different works, who gets paid. I mean, I lobby about this a lot, where it's like, hey, if you're nerds, and you're into Star Trek, we figured out how to do quantum teleportation, where you can transfer data from here in the U.S. to an electron in China. We can figure out, we've mapped the genome, we've done a lot of different things, but when you speak to these AI companies, they say, oh, we can't figure out what makes up the song, which is, again, we can cure cancer now if you're following everything that's happening with all like targeting RNA and DNA. Like, why can't we figure that out? Sorry, just keep going on and on.
All right. No, that's fine. Chris, how about your day-to-day? Is AI from running your business?
Yeah, so I think there's a big distinction between AI as, let me jump into Suno, make me an EDM track that sounds like blah, blah, blah,
Right.
rather than as a tool, like in the studio when I'm writing songs, when I'm producing, and I can potentially use AI as a tool. So I think there's a distinction that's not talked about enough, rather than an output rather than a tool.
Yeah.
However, from a record company side, I think the biggest challenge is, as of this morning, there's 50,000 tracks uploaded every day to DSPs that are AI, right?
Yeah.
Deezer's at the forefront of trying to find out a solution to that. Spotify is, it's a challenge. So,
Yeah.
it's a political way of saying it. So,
And how about,
I think that's the trick. The trick is, how do we distinguish in today's world where over 90% of adults can't hear the difference between an AI track and a regular track? So I think that's the challenge. Is I believe eventually there should be some kind of a marker or something on a DSP in a store that can maybe distinguish different titles. So
what about like from a record label? Do you use AI in your day-to-day business side of things? Not the recordings necessarily, but
I mean, it could help with certain things regarding some metadata.
Okay.
However, I don't know. I'm a bit old school. I don't know.
yeah. All right. No, just wondering.
Yeah.
Casey, you want to talk about that?
Absolutely. Honestly, I feel like I have a lot to say about AI. And first and foremost, I think it's unfortunate that it is inevitable that it is, I don't want to say taking over, because that's not like the correct term. But for lack of a better word, I think it is really infiltrating every single business that exists, because it is such an important tool. Like you were just saying, I think that distinction absolutely should be made. And I think the problem is that people lie solely dependent on it. Like we see, especially like on TikTok, I'm on TikTok all the time. I do social media full time. And I see a bunch of these AI bands popping up, and people are eating it up and everything. And there is a real person behind the lyrics that are written in that, at least for the most part. But as far as I'm aware, I believe that songs that are produced out through AI, like you cannot just rip a song off of Suno and put it on Spotify and earn money on it. I think it's now public domain. I think that was literally like just within the past couple of days. Like AI is now, if you release an AI song, it's public domain, which I think is good, because I think if you have a song and you're writing, like, for example, I can use AI for my instrumental demos. I never will ever leave anything from Suno in a song to be released out to the public. When I'm writing lyrics and melodies, I always start with my own brain first and foremost, because that's got to be the root of the inspiration. Like, what am I writing about? I can't just write about random crap. You know what I mean? So with that being said, if I'm starting with my own brain, I'm starting with my idea. I don't play instruments. I don't know how to produce. I wish I could. My parents were like, "You're not going to 5 towns for audio. You're going for music industry studies." I was like, "All right, well, I guess." So that being said, I have a lot of songs to be produced out of ideas that I want to get out and bring to my guitarist so that he can play these similar kind of things that I've been thinking. And like I said, AI is unfortunately inevitably going to infiltrate everything. And if we use it as a tool, more so as rather than like a scary, oh my God, like it's out to get us, it's going to steal all of our jobs, then, you can still have the human touch to it, which I think obviously is a very important element that we crave as humans.
Okay.
So I think just not being dependent on it is really like the holy thing. And if you
Okay.
can.
And then, but it seems like it's been helpful to maybe communicate better with
Yes,
your producer
absolutely.
and what you wanted to express musically.
Absolutely. I mean, if I were to write a song, I will record just the melody and the lyrics of me singing a cappella with just click. I'll put it into Suno. Suno will generate things, and I'll just be like, is this what's going on in my head? Is this not what's going on in my head? Do I like that? Do I like this?
Yeah.
And then I'll even bring it to my guitarist, and he changes it up anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
it's just to communicate the pace, I guess, of what I would be going for as a songwriter.
All right. Cool. Jim,
There's so many layers. Yeah, I think you're 100% right. It's in the hands of the creative person. I mean, we can break it down to the most basic would be like a drum machine. When the drum machine came out, everybody freaked out, and oh no, it's going to take away everybody's business. When synthesizers came out, there was a bad side to that. There's a great side to it in certain hands, and there's a bad side to it because on Broadway, they're not going to hire 30 violinists and an orchestra anymore. They're going to hire a keyboard player, and he's going to come in, and now they only have 5 pieces up there, so that's less work for musicians.
Right.
So, it's always going to start with how creative are you with that in your hands, and it has to come from your heart because this is a creative business. So it's not like, we're buying 20 Dunkin' Donuts. It's a creative business, and it has to always start with the artist and the creativity first. In the wrong hands, we're going to get fooled.
Yeah.
That's where you get public domain songs.
Okay. So do I use it? I use it sometimes. I'll use it for for a letter, for just because I have a Brooklyn accent and I should probably use it a little bit more. But I don't. I have an artist that does all our posters, and I like the fact that she. We'll scream at each other all night until she finally gets it, and she's a great artist. She's a photographer, and so we're going to do that from now on. I'll always do that. I'll always start with the real artistic side of it, and then hopefully I won't have to use. AI. We have one situation where we had a band, and it's a 6-figure band. It was a very big band, and they did their artwork and they sent it to all the promoters for the people on the tour. And as it turns out, they had to pull all of their artwork back and all of their ad mats back because there was like an extra finger or something on on one of the pictures. And so that's the danger of it too. You can almost tell a little bit. It's a little colder.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah, that's a
I
good point.
wanted to just add on to that. I think you're absolutely right in that it always has to start with the artist. And I think, as far as image generation goes for like cover art or something, I think if you can put down on paper your ideas, give it to AI to give a general idea of, because it is what is coming out of your brain. So it is authentically you. And if this is exactly what I pictured, you can give it to an artist to have them execute the idea and still hire out while still obviously providing an artist with a job.
Yeah.
And also fleshing out your idea to where it's most similar as what you have going on in your mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Hey, can I add a really quick analogy to this? So,
sure.
AI has kind of been part of our lives for many, many years. And whether you use it or not, do you get any of you guys use sample libraries?
No, yeah.
There's AI all over that
Splice.
stuff. And, I think the sort of the quote unquote, the replacing of live players has been more on the sort of like the soundtrack scoring side. So like half the stuff that you hear in movie trailers is all sample libraries. Or, let's say, do you guys know who Tina Guo is? She's the cellist for Hans Zimmer. She's very, very famous. She has, she sampled her performances. So like I basically co-scored an independent film a couple of months ago with a friend, and I used her performance and I played it in her vibrato and everything else. Thankfully, Cinesamples figured out a way to pay her a royalty for every time someone licenses or buys it. But I think at the end of the day, the stuff has been around. We're already using other people's performances, which AI has been trained on. So it's just the evolution of it.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on to our next question here. Hey, Chris, I was thinking about throwing this one to you first. What opportunities do you believe have opened up for independent artists that didn't exist or maybe evolved maybe from 5 years ago? Like when I'm sure you're interacting with independent artists all the time. And
Yeah.
how's that changed what you're seeing or,
So I
evolved.
think what we've seen post-COVID is there's a lot more opportunities out there and more that avail themselves, whether it's in the licensing world with independent artists, primarily with Sync and some other things like that. But I think the most important thing, no matter what genre you're in, is really to give yourself the opportunity. So if you're releasing music and a steady release schedule, and you can get yourself out there enough, there's more opportunities to license your music, to be involved with games, film, TV, with sync, and a bunch of stuff like that. So, I mean, we've seen a lot of growth in the last 5 to 10 years with it.
Okay, cool. We're going to actually be having a panel that does a deeper dive into that in the next panel, I believe. Yeah, so we'll get into that, more of those details. Michael, how about on the publishing side, independent writers, and over the last handful of years, have they been able to make headway into the music publishing industry more? And, you know, how does that look?
I think there's more accessibility nowadays where, again, you know, as Casey mentioned, TikTok and whatnot, you know, a lot of the songwriters can now release them, whether they're actual artists or performers or not. But I think it gives them a pathway into sort of being discovered as either an artist or a songwriter. And, you know, like way back with, you know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, you know, publishers were signing songwriters off of YouTube. This is happening the same thing with TikTok and all the social media. So it's another means of being discovered, you know.
Okay. Anyone else? Anything? Yeah.
I feel like I could talk hours about this, to be so real, but I think every single opportunity, I mean, I'm the social media girl. Like I will always say that social media has changed the music and media landscape of music as we know it. And I think most people in this room would agree. But it's not just because, oh, I could find fans on there. You don't only have to find fans on there. You can find producers. You can find other artists to collaborate with. You can find, like, for example, I'll say this. It levels out the playing field for everybody because you have the equal opportunity to put yourself out into a pool of people that will listen and watch you. The way that I started, at least on social media, but the way that my entire career began was completely by accident. I had just started doing covers for fun, and they just started to blow up on TikTok somehow. And before I knew it, like, I was 100K on TikTok. I was, I don't know, 50K on Instagram. I had a bunch of people that I admire just reaching out to me and being like, oh my God, what you're doing is so cool. And like I said, it's not just for fans, but to connect to other artists is a huge thing. There's contests on there that you can have, songwriting competitions. My guitarist CJ just recently started doing covers that he fully produces from the ground up. They started blowing up, so now he is getting producing clients on top of fans for his original music.
All right.
And I feel like it just gives everybody a chance to be competitive, and it's not only a tool to market yourself, but it's also an entire Rolodex in your pocket of literally everybody on the planet who has social media.
Yeah.
You know?
And you can find like-minded people, right? The genres, style-wise, and really connect, hone in on that. I'm
Exactly.
Sure.
Find your niche.
Find your niche. Cool.
I think now it's the biggest advantage is that you're worldwide. You know, there's no more gatekeepers. You know, years ago there were gatekeepers to get you on the radio, gatekeepers to keep you out of the newspapers. I mean, those are unimportant at this point. Now it's social, so you're worldwide, and if you can manipulate and you know how to break through the noise, the advantages are much more than the disadvantages, I think.
I mean, that really leads into my next question. I think you have your perspective on that in terms of, I was going to ask, what challenges or threats are still holding back creative independence? It doesn't seem like you think that there is any.
No, I do.
You do? Yeah?
Well,
Okay.
I mean, the industry is kind of, like I said, it's at I think, in my opinion, it's at a crossroads. And so everybody has to pivot. Everybody's got to really keep their finger on the pulse. Low pay, you know, for original artists starting out. No venues to present their music. Government still cutting funds for the arts. I mean, those are all the negative sides of it. Right. So it's really keeping your finger on the pulse and really watching close and the trends.
Michael or Chris, you guys have any thoughts about any of the any threats or challenges still holding back creative independence? I mean, Michael, you mentioned that there's a lot more accessibility to music publishing, right? There's a lot of rights, so it seems that that is helpful, and that
Yeah, it's just, again,
you don't have to go at it and collect royalties around the world on your own.
No, but you don't know what you don't know. So,
Okay.
Sometimes if, someone says, "Hey, this administrator is great," and all of a sudden it doesn't do what you need it to, or they make promises, there's still, you still need to educate yourself.
Right, that's
Again, you need to know it's almost like when you ask ChatGPT a question, you need to know what the answer is, because otherwise it's going to only give you 40% of the correct answer, and you're going to be, "Oh, this is it." And it's like, no, I literally argue with ChatGPT for an hour and a half. And I'm like, "You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong." I'm like, "Oh, yes, you're right, you forgot this." So again, I use it more as a research tool, but I already know the answer. I just use it to sort of, instead of me scouring the internet for 6 hours or going through books, I know what I'm looking for. I just consolidate it for me.
Yeah. Okay. Chris, you have any thoughts on any challenges that are holding back independent artists from being creative?
I just think it still boils down to social media. So if you are not actively creating a community on social media, and it's not just my new release is out today, or pre-order it, or whatever, pre-save it, it's creating that community and creating that the content that is entertaining. That's what it is. Whether you're on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, whatever.
Yeah.
It's you gotta create the community.
So that goes into what I was about, this whole idea of building a brand.
Yeah.
And how important that is today as an independent artist versus just, creating the music. Do you see that with the label, like the artists that, hey, that's a great track, but what's your overarching brand? How are you communicating? And
Yeah, I mean, look, for us, it's pretty simple, right? You have to start with a polished song, great production, and there's really no excuses now, right? So back in the day, and I owned one of the bigger studios on Long Island, Omega Studios, and a lot of my credits there from Michael Jackson on down were done there. But at the end of the day, you have the ability to pop open a laptop, whether you're in Pro Tools or any other equivalent program, and mix and master something that sounds phenomenal compared to where and what it took decades ago, right? So I think it starts with a good song, good production, great mastering, artwork, and then building your audience. And you know what? It starts even as basic as having a website, have a destination where they can go to. If your end goal is to just put it onto a music store and all these DSPs, whether it's Spotify and Apple, to me, that's just not the answer, because I think you're going to be let down. I think if you don't create your community, drive people to Bandcamp, get them to your website, build email lists. I mean, it's grassroots to me. It's the basics.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah. So I think the biggest challenges or threats for independent artists, I mean, specifically tailoring to social media, I think oversaturation is absolutely a thing. I mean, you can scroll on TikTok infinitely and never stop, of course. But also I think having to do with repetition specifically for an artist. I know how difficult it is, especially when you're teasing a specific song. Let's say you're rolling out an album and you're trying to work a release. You have a single coming out. It's hard not to have your audience get sick of hearing that song. So I think finding that balance between giving the audience a product rather than selling it to them. Because immediately, like, if you are in the midst of doom scrolling, if you are the viewer and you just see this person like singing a random song that doesn't have good lighting, that doesn't have high quality, whether it's in the back camera or the front camera makes a huge difference. If it's just text that says, "Go stream my song," why? Who are you? What are you giving to me? What is the product that you are trying to provide for me? What is going to make you say, "Oh, this song is really good. I like the way that this person looks. Let me go check out their music." You can't just sell and say, "Go check out my song," even though you have no idea who I am and I'm not giving you any sort of reason. Like, you have to have some sort of value to your product. And with that being said, it's definitely easier said than done, especially because you were saying there's low pay, it's long hours. You know, I could spend hours and hours and hours editing. I do spend hours editing a week. And I also think copyright is annoying when if you're trying to build your audience. I've built my audience based off of covers, and especially on TikTok, you can't post anything over a minute that has music in it, or else it gets copywritten. So then you can't monetize it, or they'll mute it. It's like, it's just stupid. I get it.
So you're talking about like the limitations of doing covers on social media,
Yeah,
and
just
how
like trying to build your
all
audience in that
platforms are
way.
limiting the covers to a minute or less.
Yeah, just TikTok as
Just
of
TikTok,
now.
okay.
I feel like YouTube also might do it, YouTube Shorts, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, with that being said, like also staying relevant is a lot of pressure on a lot of people. I know for me, for my label, like it's definitely a thing. But what I've found is that I have just been trying so hard to keep up with relevancy.
Yeah.
When the thing that people keep forgetting, and one of my friends just called me the other day and was talking to me about this. She also is in a band and does social media. But we need to learn the art of the album cycle again.
Okay.
Because as far as that goes, like, thank you.
All right. People know about the album cycle.
Yeah. I mean, it's cyclical, it's up and down, and when it comes to proper planning, and if you really plan out, okay, what does my next year look like? What does my next 5 years look like? When you are actively saying, okay, I need this amount of time to write the album. I need this amount of time to record music videos. I need this amount of time to start teasing, marketing, and it just goes around and around and around. And then you'll have your time to tour and break. But the break is very important because it allows you to regroup and say, okay, how can I segment and place myself in this market to make waves in this niche? Because essentially it's ever changing. You have to be up with the times, but again, you have to make sure that you are keeping a pulse on it is something that we've been saying on this panel, which is great, and
So
also not burning yourself out.
So do you follow, like, does the label or you say, oh, this is the trend, you have to, this is what you have to do, you have to keep saying the same, 10 seconds of the song 20 times,
Yeah,
20
so-
videos, and yeah.
Exactly. So I think a lot of the times, I mean, just in my personal experience, like we had dropped an EP in June, and I think one of the first calls that we had with our A&R rep that was after the release, post-release, I feel like everything had kind of like slowed a bit. He called and he was like, let's keep pouring like gas on the fire. And I was like, well, hold on a second. Like, the reason why we aren't popping off right now is because we don't have any gas. We need to have the time to give ourselves to write quality music because for a while, I think in 2024, 23, 22, a lot of it was just quantity. A lot of it was consistency. And it's like, well, if you keep posting, then you'll just hit whoever you can. And it's just volume posting.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are still saying that. But I think that if you are not taking enough time to be able to break out of not only your niche, but carve out a newer audience that you may have not tapped into because the things that you're putting out are low quality or they're not you, or it's the same segment of the song 10 times over, then you're limiting your audience, you're limiting your capabilities. And I think it's just holding you back as an independent artist as a whole, and it's not using social media to its fullest extent.
Maybe exhausting the existing fan base too?
Exactly, yes.
Okay. So, I thought maybe we can just do a little bit more industry-specific questions. Maybe starting with Michael. What I did earlier, I just pulled some basic stats, from the music publishing industry, some of which we've been talking about already. But I believe as of last year, the NMPA, National Music Publisher Association, they said that U.S. music publishing revenue surpassed $7 billion, up 13.5% from 2023. And it marks the 10th consecutive year of double-digit growth in U.S. publishing revenue. So, what are some of the reasons and trends happening to allow that to continue to happen?
I think there's a lot of factors. Growth of streaming,
Yeah.
conversions from free or ad-based to sort of subscription.
Yeah.
New licensing models. There's a lot of things that are going on that is not really sort of public. For example, they're now licensing music for sports, where if I have kids who are gymnasts and dancers, it's like every time they perform at a national, where there's thousands of pieces of music, now they're actually being able to sort of monetize that. There's a lot of sort of emerging things that are happening. We have my good friend Adam Parnas over here is doing a lot of licensing deals, so he's probably responsible for a lot of that too. So thank you, Adam.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's really a smattering of a lot of different things. Obviously, as you've seen with all the streaming services, Spotify's raising rates and all this other stuff. So that has some positivity to it, but there's also some negativity with some of the bundling issues that we're trying to get through. But but again, more of the social media platforms are being attributed and monetized, including platforms like Canva.
Right. Okay. What are some of the newer deals that you've been seeing? I mean, I saw the other day. What was it? Spotify? Spotify and NMPA did a deal for independent writers to get paid for.
Well, that's for the audio
music
visual.
videos?
That's for the audio visuals. So now, like
sync?
everybody, Spotify is realizing, and they've been at it for a while actually, trying to introduce a video component. Now they've figured out sort of the model,
Okay.
And that's what it is. So now we can grant video rights as well.
Kind of like what music publishing did years ago with YouTube, like a blanket license kind of thing. Okay.
Similar, yeah.
All right. More revenue. That's nice.
Yeah.
All right. So, what else? We talked about AI. We talked about, Chris mentioned AI in terms of uploads to Spotify and DSPs. How does that affect the music publishing industry? And, Casey mentioned PD and public domain. And can you tell us a little bit about how the proliferation of AI songs affects copyrightable songs that are,
You want to do that? Yeah, I guess was that.
If Chris, you can jump in on
No,
that
no,
too.
you go ahead.
We'll
No,
talk about it. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, obviously, in the U.S. Copyright Office does not recognize, fully AI
Right.
created songs, so it's not really affected.
Okay.
However,
Yes.
the PROs will accept a registration if it's used as a tool, right?
Yes.
So I think that's the bigger distinction is when I gave the example before of a prompt output versus a tool in your toolkit, right?
More as a co-writer versus 100% AI.
Yeah. I did hear that, if you listen, I mean, to more AI songs that aren't public, aren't copyrighted, then it dilutes, right, the amount of times that you're actually being streamed and earning a royalty, mechanicals, and all that sort of thing too, right?
Yeah,
So
money's being generated. Who's it going to?
yeah. And is Spotify or these DSPs, Apple or Tidal, are they removing these AI songs right now, or
They're
do you
doing
know?
the best that they can.
No.
I mean, they're really not removing. I mean, the landscape of 50,000 songs being uploaded a day. You're
Yeah.
talking about an overall number of over 200,000 songs going to DSPs every day.
Yeah.
It's still an ongoing problem, but
Right.
It's
getting
whack-a-mole.
better.
So it kind of whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
There's that term again.
Yep.
It's been in the industry for a while at this point, right? Because the more songs that you listen to that are not copyrightable and no one's earning, those songwriters anyway are earning revenue from, or less times we only have a limited amount of time that we can listen to them, right?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment to compliment Casey on covers are really important.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that actually helps drive the revenue. So, look, and my new friend over here basically said a couple of minutes ago, it all starts with the song. And it really does. So if you really think about it, if you look at the statistics, it's still majority 55% of all streaming are songs older than 10 years because those songs are older.
Yeah. I mean, it was a discovery, way to discover new talent, years ago, on
People
YouTube
are still doing covers on the radio.
So
Casey, keep going, keep doing it, man.
Thank
Help
you.
support our songwriters.
Thank you. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So, just to keep the panel moving along as we wind down a bit, did any last takeaways or points that you wanted to talk about from the music publisher perspective? No? Okay, Chris. Record label side of things. Again, did a little RIAA report here. U.S. recording music revenue reached $5.5 billion in the first half of 2025. Paid subscription streaming continues to drive growth, up 6.5%. However, growth is very modest year to year. So physical formats, CDs, vinyls, are declining. And vinyl within that physical format is higher than CDs, I think, for the first time.
Yeah, but once again, it's
a small-
it's a very niche.
Yeah.
Right? So physical product, it's not. It hasn't been really mainstream in quite a while. It's one off. What I find talking with a lot of my manufacturers that we used back in the day is it's very niche. It's very, we have a special project or it's a personal project. I mean, the reality is music consumption is changing, right? You're seeing a little bit more activity where you go to buy a new car and some of your bigger questions are, well, does it have CarPlay? What's the entertainment like? Can I hook up my mobile device, right? So when you see consumption changing
Yeah.
and then paid subscribers at the DSPs going up,
Yeah.
then you're going to see streaming going up. But, it's all relative, really.
Yeah. I mean, I did hear the head of the RIAA, Mitch Glazer, speak earlier this year, and he said the issue with the recording industry, unlike maybe the music publishing, is that, or at least with the DSPs, there's only just the amount of people that we have in society to actually subscribe, So it was a lot of growth for many years as a lot of people adapted these subscription models. But now it's like, okay, we're running out of people to, so it's going to naturally plateau,
Yeah, I mean, I will say in the electronic music community, from
Yeah.
COVID to today, the number one sector of sound recordings that we've seen go up has been in our compilation side of products, and it's all covers. I mean,
Yeah.
we consistently have 5 to 10 albums on the charts that are all covers.
Yeah.
And it still blows my mind.
Yeah. But I mean, are those covers modern interpretations and
Yeah, so they're dance EDM covers
of other dance songs or other pop songs?
of
or-
evergreen music. So Don't Stop Believing and
Okay.
et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Okay. So let's see here. So for what about any mistakes that you see new artists making before they drop their first single, or do you have to kind of say that's not probably the best way to go about it?
Biggest mistake is not being on social media and not posting. So like we talked about before, it starts with obviously creating your recording, right? But then ultimately, especially in the electronic music world, if you're not releasing new releases every 4 to 6 weeks as a single, and then building that story and creating that community, it's going to be very tough to get to an EP or an album that really matters, because the burn of music is just so fast. It's just quick.
Yeah. So in your career as a record label owner, how long have you been running your label?
So Amethyst, 23 years.
Okay, so it's changed a little bit. So 23 years ago, how many streams did you have? So, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, we started out selling physical products.
Of course, yeah. And especially
Power,
with dance
Wiz,
music,
Sandy.
right? Vinyl?
Yeah, it was everything. So it was vinyl, CDs, actually even cassettes back then,
Yeah.
right? So we had vendor codes. We were shipping out to Japan, and
Yeah.
now it's all digital. There's nothing. There's no physical.
Right. At all? No physical at your label at all?
Nothing. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Because I would think within the music genres, dance
Yeah.
music is one of those areas that people used to like to, bring your crates and...
Yeah, I mean, look, now the biggest plus has been the integration, right? So Spotify has an integration with the DJ software. SoundCloud's had it for a while, but yeah, it's digital.
So this panel, this conference being about entrepreneurship, I mean, right there, you have to pivot constantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, and I even tell new artists that we're not working with, go to your equivalent of CD Baby, TuneCore, DistroKid, release your music, but you still got to build your story. They're not doing retail promotion, right? So they're not going to help break you. They're just going to get your music onto the stores.
Right, right. So just for those that may be out there that might be interested in starting a label, what would you have done different, or what would you, any advice that, as a label owner?
If I was starting my label or labels, the ones that we control now, I would be heavily just all social media, all video content, create the brand. If you're in dance music and you're very festival driven, and create that community, because those avid fans that are going to, you name it, Ultra, Tomorrowland, wherever, they're the ones that are going to consume your music. So that's what you got to drill into.
Okay, cool. So just moving on along, we have like less than 10 minutes. I want to leave a few minutes for any questions. So live industry, Jim. So I don't know how well that's been doing, but what I see here, Pollstar's mid-year business analysis suggests a mixed picture in live music. Average per show ticket prices are up, but ticket volume down or flat, and so it's at just over $3 billion mid-year, in terms of revenue. And venues rankings show strong movement. Some venues climb significantly. So what's going on? I know you got the festival side, but you also have experience in booking at venues in the city.
Sure.
So, and then I know there's a whole international. I saw Steve Parker from Neva talk about in England what's going on there. What you might see it in the news, like a venue a week closing in England or something like that. So what's going on in the
60 festivals went under last year, and I have a question for the audience actually. Yeah. How many where do you get your music from? If you can just raise your hand, and so I can just, where do you get your music from?
I get most of them from CDs, but I like to use Spotify.
Spotify. All different ages. Go ahead, in the back. Which? Apple Music.
All right.
You? Yeah. You're not into music? No, YouTube. Oh, I thought you said I'm not into music. So what are you doing here? Next to you? Spotify. Okay.
I have a big one.
Go ahead.
TikTok.
TikTok. Okay. Let's see. Who else? Who wants to say where they get their music from? You? Instagram. Bandcamp.
SoundCloud, Bandcamp.
Okay. And how many concerts have you been to in 12 months?
Quite a few. I'd have to think about them, but I'd say like 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
Okay.
You, sir. 2 or 3 in 12 months? Okay. Guys right here?
I've been to maybe like
2 a month. That's
All
great.
right.
If you count local shows.
Okay, next to you?
Local shows always count.
No live? No live.
So-
Okay. So when I asked that question 15 years ago, 20 years ago at a conference, pretty much everybody was like 1 or 2 a week.
Yeah.
And so
what's changed?
life's changed. Life's changed. The pandemic has changed everything.
What do you think?
You're going out less, getting their music in so many different places.
Yeah.
You're getting your music in so many different. It's so much harder for a promoter like myself to zero in on the market and on who I'm marketing to. So between YouTube and Spotify and everything and all the other platforms out there, it's very hard. So you guys are all over the place. Nobody's in the same place. Whereas years ago, it used to be radio, TV. Your dad would turn you on to an album, and it was that kind of thing. It was much more controlled. Now it's worldwide, and it's just so hard to zero in on a market. And in our festival, we have 4 different days of music, pretty much, and so we have 4 different marketing plans, and it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder these days to get to the group that we need to get to buy tickets.
Yeah.
So. But years ago, it was people went to concerts every week. You know, it was not the same as now.
Yeah. So how easy or hard is it, or what advice would you give like an independent artist that's looking to get booked at one of the venues? Like, how do you assess like, hey, I'll take a risk on someone new versus, you know, being like, hey, I'm the first one that booked them. I could really tell that they were taking off, even though
a good EPK. You know, we get EPKs. We get all kinds of stuff sent to us. Years ago, it was CDs and everything, and now it's EPKs. And then we have our friend over there who's like the king of the EPK, Reverb Nation, and so
a place where you put all your info, right?
Yeah,
your band,
your one sheet,
the artist name, the
but we need live
press.
I personally want to see a live performance. I don't want to see you walking on the beach, with somebody with the music playing in the back, because that's not going to.
So you want to see what the artist looks like live, and so they should have maybe filmed a live concert before they brought it to you.
Yeah,
they can add it to their
important
EPK,
thing.
right? Yeah, to see how lively the room is
absolutely.
that they're performing in. Okay. And then any last takeaways, and I'll move to Casey, and then we'll take maybe a couple of questions before we have to wrap it up. Any other thoughts? I know consumption at the venues has changed too in terms of alcohol sales and. Right, there's not a lot of people buying alcohol, and that was the driving force. And I'm not saying it's healthy, obviously, but people are doing cannabis now, and you got mocktails and right. How do you make money besides from the the ticket sales?
Yeah, we've gone in a different direction at our festival. We've gone in a different direction in terms of alcohol. Alcohol used to be a third of the income. Okay. It was always ticket sales, alcohol, and sponsorships. Okay. So the alcohol has gone down considerably. Yeah. But it depends what show you're putting on. If I'm doing an 80s, 90s, or more of a current band, the alcohol is going to be a lot lower. If I'm doing something from the 70s, 80s, 90s, alcohol is going to be bigger. Okay. If I'm doing something, a brand new band, there's going to be hardly any alcohol. There's going to be cannabis. There's going to be, other revenue streams. So that's changed. That's changed everything. We've had to bring in different kinds of sponsors to make up for the lack in liquor sales, and because the liquor sales were pretty much driving festivals and concerts. Yeah. And the younger people aren't drinking. They're not going out as much, as you can see from, how many shows have you gone to? And older people. Are not drinking it as much, and they're going to free shows. They're worried about life in general, and making ends meet. And so they're going to free shows all over Long Island. There's in every town and village, there's a tribute band playing somewhere, and they can bring their lawn chair and they can drink and bring their own food and then go home. So life's changed, but it's 28 to 50, 55. That's really driving the business at this point. Right. They're still going out. They're still drinking. They're still partying.
And then I saw a venue owner was talking with said that she has got to pivot every day. Like, hey, we're not getting enough bands, so we're going to do like dating night. We're going to do speed dating. We're going to do a live podcast where podcasters are on the tour, on the road, or comedy. They open it up to different types of entertainment than just music.
I don't think we've gone through so many trials with bringing in things that we think will bring people in. And that maybe will give the people there something more to see and something more to enjoy, but it's not going to bring people in. The people are there. If you're a music festival, the people are there for the music, and that's really what it comes down to. You'll get a slight increase. We used to do huge kid shows, where the artist was, $20,000, $30,000, and we wouldn't get that back. They would bring their families, and then so everybody came in a little bit cheaper, and so it wasn't worth it. But if the music is good and it's targeted correctly, and the people that like that music know, and if you really get your marketing down and you're able to target,
you're still able to do something,
you'll be fine.
Okay, so we're basically out of time, but I do want to get to Casey some last words about from the artist perspective, segueing from a student into an emerging artist. What have you done? What kind of advice might you give to someone else? I mean, I know you've been talking a bit about it as well. and a couple other questions, and maybe we'll have time for a question or two.
Yeah. I will try to make it quick. I mean, I'll tell you what, the mistakes, because I know we were talking about that before, not posting, not researching your demographics. That is like a huge one. You should know who you're marketing to. And when you are marketing, you should also be using a call to action. I said before, like, you want to give people a product and not sell it to them. There's a way to, quote unquote, sell without feeling like you're being sold on the product, whether that be in the description, whether that be talking directly to your audience. Guys, I'm so excited to go on tour. Guys, I'm so excited for my show. And as far as turnout as an artist, like, being that you're pulling up at these venues and you want to make sure that they're doing well so that you get booked again. I think something that we don't talk enough about is running ads, and understanding, meta business, for example. I can't talk too much about running ads on TikTok just because I feel like all the photos that I post on TikTok flop for whatever reason. But as far as running
You'll
ads
crack
on,
it. You'll
what?
crack. I don't doubt you'll crack that.
One
you'll
day.
get there. Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, I mean, as far as running ads goes, it's so easy to pick out your audience on Meta Business. There's like no reason why you shouldn't be doing it. Especially, you can put in $1 a day up until the show, and it could cost you $35 to get an extra 35 people in the door.
Wow. Okay, that's a good return.
Yeah, I mean, 35 people in a 200 cap room is still, like, it looks full. It will spread itself out, but also offline, you absolutely need to be creating genuine connections with people, with artists, with industry folk, with fans also, and observe your competition and understand, okay, this artist is similar to me. What are they doing that's working? What am I doing that's not? And it's not to say comparison is the thief of joy. You're not saying, well, they're doing better than me, blah, blah, blah. It's just analyzing the market around you and understanding trends and analytics and statistics. And I was horrible at math, and I still do well with the stats because you have to understand them. With socials, you have to understand what's working, what's not, understanding trends, and what will appeal to others. Pivoting, like we said, very important. I just released a music video with my band that was deemed too frightening on TikTok, and so
that's a good press.
It is. It is.
What's the name of your band?
Deadlands.
Deadlands. All right, check them out.
Thank you. But yeah, so we released a visualizer, Too Scary on TikTok. So all of our teasers that we were going to post, we couldn't post on TikTok. So instead, I had to resort to low fidelity content of me putting my phone up. TikTok said that my video was too scary, so you guys are just going to have to listen to the song without the video. And surprisingly, they were doing well.
Okay. Yeah.
But that also goes to show a genuine connection with your fan base of hey, I'm being brutally honest here, and I'm also human, and this sucky thing happened, so I'm just going to talk to you about it and see what happens. And it gets receptive sometimes.
Yeah. So sometimes the thing that you didn't think would work can work. Right. Sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah. Trying new things is something that people very rarely do. I feel like they'll stick to one thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is such a horrible way to pigeonhole yourself and your audience. So don't be afraid to try new things and experiment on your platform, especially if things aren't working.
All right. Well, with that, I don't know if we can maybe take one or two questions, but if so, maybe someone with a mic. Questions? Yeah.
Hey, this is, I think, a question for Jim specifically. One of the things that I'm always looking for as someone who enjoys going to concerts as frequently as I can is just the price. And that's kind of one of the things that just seems to increase. And if you think about it in a pernicious way, the price will increase, but the experience might stay the same. So are there things that you guys are looking for to also incentivize people to walk in the door besides the music? I know that's kind of sad to say, is the music enough? But as the price goes up, are you guys thinking of experiences or other things to bring people into the door?
It's one of the hardest things to, in my position, trying to figure out how we're going to pay for this festival that costs over $1 million to put on. Trying to figure out ticket prices is one of the biggest things. We hope that the band will at least, the ticket price, the main headliner will bring in enough people to just pay the bands, because the rest of the money should be made on the ancillary things. That's gotten harder because the artists are having such a hard time now touring. It's too expensive to tour. Tour buses and just everything, gas and production, and they stopped making tour buses and staging. I mean, just everything is just so expensive. So that the acts are trying to get what they can get, and their agents are really going for the lungs, for your lungs. Yeah. They're trying to get as much as they can. By the same token, it's hurting the industry, but they have to do it because they don't know what's going to happen. The pandemic scared the hell out of everybody, and they were out of work for 2 years. And so the acts fees have doubled. In some cases tripled. I mean, there were bands I paid $75,000 for, 10 years ago, and now they're $500,000. And the people are paying it. And as long as people pay it, they're going to keep doing it. We try to keep up. I mean, our ticket fees are $75. They start off at $55, and we're paying six figures for acts.
Can you buy your ticket now for next year?
We just did a Leap of Faith ticket, which is no bands booked, and
how much is that?
$59.
$59
and $100 for a VIP and $200 for an ultra VIP.
All right.
Which is
So get your tickets.
It's so cheap. Well, it's over. It was over.
Oh,
yesterday.
it was over. All right, don't get
it
your
ended
ticket.
yesterday.
Oh.
And but we'll be going on sale. But now we're adding. Now we're starting to confirm our acts. So
all right.
So it's just very hard, when it comes to the artist fees, because that's what drives everything up. Yeah. Plus, again, people are drinking less. Your age group is drinking less, going to less shows, and you have less money. You have less extra.
So maybe one more question. We are running late, but anyone else? Yeah.
Do you
have the microphone?
He does.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Thanks.
Do you think that with the digital divide that a lot of marginalized communities can't get access to AI and then aren't able to be creative, and not only with AI, but also not being able to be taught how to use their creativity to make these products?
I mean, is there a specific person you want to answer?
Yeah, I didn't know who you were aiming that at.
What?
I didn't know who you were asking.
I'm sorry.
Was
I don't
there,
remember your name.
Chris, maybe?
Yeah, you were talking about how AI and that anyone can use it now, but I don't think a lot of people have a lot of access to AI. Just in my personal.
I mean, I don't know if I would agree with that sentiment per se, only because especially there's a lot of free
right?
trials and things of that nature. Also, the landscape is growing so fast that everyone talks about Suno and et cetera, but there's dozens upon dozens upon dozens of competitors. So I think if you go in and check it out and try some different things, I'm very pro using it as a tool. So
Yeah, I think it's no different, honestly. Oh, there's a new streaming service. There's a new Netflix or whatever. I'm like, I'm going to pay my $10 a month, so I'll just try, this new AI tool.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, I feel like there is some truth to that for sure. Of course, you have people that, simply can't afford it is one thing. I mean, people are living paycheck to paycheck. It's hard. But as far as that goes, I think if you have a phone in your pocket, you have access to AI wherever. I mean, even ChatGPT, that's something that everybody uses. I know when I was here, it started to really ramp up and exponentially grow. And I don't even think it costed anything at that point.
Yeah, I think it's still free. I mean, they still have free versions of it, yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of free things out there that you could do. Maybe it's not particularly the quality that you are wanting, but also, if you're using it as a tool, the quality doesn't need to be insane, you know. I guess just to flesh out the bare minimum of your idea in order to bring it to somebody, it doesn't have to be anything super crazy. So I think if you have a phone, if you can go to a library and access a computer, which I mean public libraries are in pretty much every town, I think you can have access.
All right. Well, with that, I just want to thank our panelists for this, kickoff panel today. Thank you. So in about 15 minutes, we'll start our second panel, but we'll probably have a little meet and greet afterwards if you want to come up and say hello and stick around. Thank you.
Cool.